But what I want to talk about a little bit is the atmosphere in the press that the press is trying to create and why they are trying to create this. The New York Times, a former newspaper, reports on this firing, and they said their lead is in an escalating crisis for his 10-day-old administration. And if you read the front page of the New York Times, this is all it is. Shockwaves in immigrant communities. Foreign leaders ask, can we trust Trump? Here's a headline from USA Today. Sessions faces Senate vote as Trump throws DOJ into chaos from 538. Politics podcast, chaos at the White House. Business Insider, a presidency in chaos. Legendary investigative journalist, that's Bernstein, who's a lib. CNN, Trump move leads to confusion and chaos. There's chaos everywhere. It's just incredible chaos. And of course, Obama, after 10 days of keeping his mouth shut, for a while, I couldn't even remember who the last president was. I kept saying, I remember he was like this tall, thin guy. I can't, what was his name? So I think Obama was getting a little bit upset about this because Trump has done so much in these 10 days that it's really easy to just forget Obama, who really, remember, Obama accomplished nothing. He passed like one law, and he passed fewer laws than any president in history, and all he did was these executive orders. So, yeah, Trump there haven't been any legislation in the first 10 days here either, but it does have this appearance of really getting down to work and treating this like a job. So Obama had his guys send out a statement. President Obama is heartened by the level of engagement taking place in communities around the country. So he loves the protests. Right? Citizens exercising their constitutional right to assemble, organize, and have their voices heard by their elected officials is exactly what we expect to see when American values are at stake. Obama fundamentally disagrees with the notion of discriminating against individuals because of their faith or religion, which this order does not do. But we'll get back to this in a minute. And this, by the way, is from the guy who pulled out of Iraq, so letting ISIS explode, who stood there with his hand up his fundament while the Syria exploded into civil war. He took until the last year, he took very, very few of the refugees in a situation he helped create while 500,000 people died. Trump has, as part of his executive order, he is trying to create safe spaces in Syria and in Muslim-controlled countries. It's a completely reasonable thing to do. And talking about the escalating crisis and the chaos, here is from Rasmussen. Most voters approve of President Trump's temporary halt to refugees and visitors from several Middle Eastern and African countries until the government can do a better job of keeping out individuals who are a terrorist threat. I mean, it's basic common sense. A new Rasmussen Reports National Telephone and Online Survey finds that 57% of likely U.S. voters favor a temporary ban on refugees from Syria, Iraq, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen until the federal government approves its ability to screen out potential terrorists. 33% are opposed, so a third. So 57%. In America, that's a big percentage. That's a lot of people who agree. Okay, so Let's stop for a minute and just judge of this chaos. Where is this chaos coming from? Is there chaos? I mean, it doesn't sound like there's chaos if the president does something that 57% of the people approve of. But we do have to admit this. How can I put this? It was not smoothly done. I think we can say, one of the things about Trump is he's a rude guy. He's a blustering, rude, loudmouth guy. And we like that when he's taking it out on the press and the people who have hogtied conservatives in our government with political correctness, with unfair coverage, with a blanket one-party vision of what's going on. And so the Republicans are like shattered people. They're like trembling, traumatized children who are so afraid of opening their mouths, even when the voters support them, because they know the press and their donors are going to come after them, okay? So we like Trump because he breaks through that. He said, you press, you're the most dishonest people, you lie, all this stuff. Great stuff. It's great stuff. But when you're doing something that's controversial, sometimes it takes a little panache, just a little style. And he didn't have it. Here's Krauthammer describing why this was such a disaster.
I mean, it is utterly ridiculous, first of all, to give no guidance as to what you do with somebody holding a green card. Then you change the guidance. You should have stated from the beginning, if you have a green card, you're not going to be stopped. They were stopped. That should never have happened.
So they rushed it.
It's not only that they rushed it, they did it in a terrible way. In theory, of course, you want to have a strengthened vetting process. A new administration should have the chance to review procedures. But you don't announce that you're going to all of a sudden have a new process and stop everybody who's already flying, already in the air with a valid visa, and stop them when they land.
I mean, the thing is, the head of the Department of Homeland Security was basically in a plane, I think, having a conversation about this executive order when he looked up and saw Trump on TV announcing the executive order. So it does, a little bit of chaos from the administration, no question about it. A little bit of, incompetence. My thing about this, though, is like if Trump violates our basic freedoms, if he goes against the Constitution, if he does things as president that I would have screamed if Obama did them because they are tyrannical and not in keeping with the separation of powers and all this stuff, then the argument that, the press said this about Obama and now they're being unfair, then that argument doesn't hold water. It doesn't always hold water to just compare Trump to let Trump off the hook just because the press is unfair to them. But in the question of competence after 10 days in office, I don't know. I'm a little relaxed about this.